Welcome back to another episode of Three's a Crowd. I'm Preston Vargas alongside Eli Atwood. And Eli, I know it's been over a week, but it's your first time back since you went to Chicago for that game. How was the weather up there?
Yeah, it was definitely cold, but it was well worth the experience. Sucks that the Bears took the loss, but it was a great game, great experience, best fans in the league
Yes, for sure. And that good thing you saw that crazy throw by Caleb Williams.
for sure. Yeah, that was a lifetime memory right there.
And before we get started, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more. Even though the Bears season's over, we did have some football this weekend. We'll start by reviewing the Patriots Broncos game and that snow globe that ended up overcoming Mile High in the second half. What are your main takeaways from that one?
Yeah, I mean it's pretty hard to tell exactly what we get there. Patriots got the early lead and just managed to kind of run the clock down once that weather started getting bad. And Jarrett Stidham in the helm is not who you want in that situation. And God, I gotta feel bad for him, but at the same time, it is what it is.
I had a couple good throws in the first quarter, got them into the red zone, but I think the biggest mistake was on Sean Payton. On that fourth down, you were up 7-0. I think it was in the second quarter. He'd gone for the field goal, went up 10 to nothing against the Patriots.
Yeah, I think part of the problem too, all those missed field goals didn't help.
But I mean, that happened right after the snow came in.
Yeah.
So I think, and that's another thing with snow games. That's another conversation for a different day. But the snow definitely had an impact. There was no question about that. We can't even see the yard markers on the field. That's a problem.
Yeah, for sure. It definitely makes it for a different experience being at that game, being in the game.
And I saw Drake May only threw for what was it, 83 yards in that one.
Yeah, something like that. But managed to get the win.
And let me take a look at some other stats. And Jarrett Stidham, he didn't have a bad game considering the circumstances. 133 yards, one touchdown, and that pick that he threw to Christian Gonzalez to seal it. But that
Yeah, I think he
fumble,
didn't even see Gonzalez possibly in that play.
that's the thing when you're wearing white uniforms covered in white snow on the ground. It's hard to see.
Yeah.
And I just want to talk about that pass backwards that Jarrett Stidham had that caused the turnover. What were your thoughts on that? Should that have been a forward pass or a touchdown?
Yeah, although it's kind of hard to tell, but the thing that I find frustrating though too is like the fact that they ended up ruling the ball dead. I mean, you can't whistle a
Oh, he
play
wasn't
down if
touched.
you, yeah, exactly. And well, I'm saying like once it was apparently a fumble, you can't whistle that down. You can't end that play. That would have been a touchdown for the Patriots. They ended up getting the touchdown anyways, right? But
Yeah.
still, if that ended otherwise, it would be very frustrating, I think.
I still at least I think it was the inadvertent whistle that was the thing that they called him on, which I don't know. They gotta get this inadvertent whistle thing sorted out. You gotta let the play go,
Yeah, for sure. You gotta let the play go and then
especially the
figure it out after the
playoffs.
play. Yeah, exactly.
I think this was an issue, I want to say, between the Raiders and Bengals 4 years ago. There was nearly an inadvertent whistle that I think the touchdown was allowed, but on the replay, there was an inadvertent whistle. I can't
Gotcha.
remember, but the Raiders thought they were screwed out of a touchdown because of it.
Yeah.
The Patriots are going to the Super Bowl, and they'll move on to the NFC Championship. This one was much better in terms of quality, a higher scoring game between both these teams. Let's talk about Sam Darnold getting over his demons, 346 yards, three touchdowns, no picks. What'd you think of his performance?
Yeah, it's definitely great to see Darnold performing well in the playoffs, something he's struggled with his whole career. I mean, his late resurgence has been helping him out probably, but he's a guy who maybe always wasn't the best in clutch games, and here in the playoffs, he's shown that he can be that guy.
Absolutely. I mean, the Rams were his big demon going into this one. Of course, he had the playoff game when he was with Minnesota last year, and then coming into this season, earlier this year, I think he had three picks against the Rams the first time around. Second time around, he turned the ball over a few times. We thought it was same old Darnold against the Rams, but then he led his team to a comeback in that win, It was probably the best Thursday night game of all time. And yeah, Sam Darnold, he's definitely showing up in the big moments, and he's leading his team to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, for sure.
And then on the Rams side, Matthew Stafford, a very solid day for him, 374 yards, three touchdowns, no picks. And there's been questions around whether this is Sam Darnold's last year. Do you think this is it, or is he coming back for another year?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's going to be back for a few more years. He's got MVP level year this season. I mean, no question. I think he comes back.
I agree with that. I think the speculation that he might not come back, I don't know where that's coming from, but I mean he's got a couple of good weapons. Devontae Adams, I think I read a stat he's now 0 for 5 in NFC Championship games,
Oh wow.
so not a good stat to be a part of there. Puka Nacua,
Yeah, no.
165 receiving yards. I think he's him and JSN are probably the two best receivers in the league. What do you think?
Yeah, for sure. They're definitely up there. I think JSN's number one for sure, though.
Absolutely. He was the difference maker getting those big plays in the red zone for Seattle. But there were a lot of mistakes on both teams in this one.
Yeah, for sure. It wasn't a perfect game by any means.
I go back, I think this is what really sealed the game for, well, didn't really seal the game. It led to Seattle scoring. So Seattle punts, I think, on their first possession of the second half. Xavier Scott was back to return. He muffs the punt. It was his second muff punt, and that one was a turnover. The first one, he ended up getting it back. So special teams have been a problem for the Rams all season long. It finally caught up with them in the end.
Yeah.
And then talking about the Seahawks and a big miscue that led to a Rams touchdown. Luckily, it didn't cost them the game. It could have. Reek Woolen on a stop on third down. The Rams were set to punt. The late flag comes in. Reek Woolen was jawing at the Rams sideline, ends up getting unsportsmanlike. The very next play, Matt Stafford to Nakua for a deep touchdown pass. I mean, it could have gone either way, but miscues are definitely the story in this one.
Yeah, for sure.
And then moving on to the Super Bowl preview, Patriots and Seahawks, a rematch of Super Bowl 49. We'll have 2 weeks to dissect this one. Let's get your first thoughts on the initial matchup.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely an interesting matchup here. Kind of a rematch from a little bit ago. We'll see if the Seahawks can get their revenge.
I go back to that game in Arizona, Super Bowl 49, after the 2014 season. That was the one where they should have ran with Marshawn Lynch down the middle to win the game. Instead, Malcolm Butler picks off Russell Wilson in the red zone, ends up stealing the game for the Patriots. I think this one, Seattle's opening as a 4.5 point favorite. I'm
Yeah, something
early
like that.
early looks. Who do you think is going to win this one?
Yeah, I mean, early on, I think I am taking Seattle. They're the closer team to home, but then also beyond that, I just feel like they're the more complete team than the Patriots, and they've been performing better in these playoffs.
I mean, it would be a big slap in the face to San Francisco. The Seahawks could win the Super Bowl in their rival's home building.
For sure, yeah.
And the last time Seattle was in that building, we actually streamed that game. It was the last game of the season for the one seed between the Seahawks and Niners. Seahawks defense really shut down Christian McCaffrey and did it again in the playoffs. And but the Seahawks didn't really wasn't really the defense was the factor against the Rams. I think could be against Drake May and the Patriots.
Yeah, I think that the defense will definitely need to step it up a little bit.
But I agree with you here in the early look at this one. I think Seattle is going to win this one, but we'll see toward the end when we have more solid preview of this. We'll definitely talk about this more going into Super Bowl weekend, which is in 2 weeks.
Yeah, for sure. It's gonna be a storyline going into that week.
And then we move on to some coaching news. Our old rival up north, Mike McCarthy, going to the Pittsburgh Steelers, his hometown team, to be their head coach. Now, there's speculation that this was due to bring back Aaron Rodgers to the Steelers, but is this a good move for the Steelers, do you think?
No, not at all. I mean, there's no excuse for this. Mike McCarthy, I mean, this guy should not even have a job, no less a head coaching job right now. This,
I mean,
I really don't get the logic. You're moving on from Mike Tomlin, who's kind of a similar guy. He's successful in the regular season, can't get it done in the playoffs. Then you just bring in an older, worse version of him here. I don't understand it.
yeah, I agree with you. I disagree with the Steelers going after Mike McCarthy at this point in his career. Like you mentioned, the regular season success, but no postseason success. Barely brought the Cowboys to. He got the Cowboys to a couple playoff wins, but that was about it. And yeah, I think and Mike McCarthy is going back home to Pittsburgh. That's the thing. But if you did this to try to bring back Aaron Rodgers, who he looked okay, but didn't have a solid season last
He
year.
wasn't that great. Yeah.
Why would you want to bring back another quarterback who's going to be 43 next year?
Yeah,
On
the Steelers are afraid of rebuilding. They just need to commit to a young coach and have a year of pain to continue off in the future off a better team. I mean, you can't just band-aid everything together, you know?
on the coaches that they've hired, they've only had three since 1969. McCarthy will be the fourth. All of them were under 40 when they got hired, and Mike McCarthy's
Yeah.
62.
60. Yeah, exactly.
This feels like a this doesn't feel like a Steelers move. Feels more like what you would see with the Jets or Raiders.
Yeah,
Or the
exactly.
Raiders.
Yeah, the Raiders, exactly. Pete Carroll, similar situation.
I would say this it's not a good move. You need a you should have hired someone like Mike Brian Flores or maybe one of these other coaches that are still in their 30s and commit to that rebuild like you said. Commit to building up that team because you don't have a quarterback. I mean, next year the quarterback class is going to be loaded, so there will be plenty of options there.
Yeah, exactly.
And then we'll move on to the other head coaching openings. I think the Bills are still open at this point. Um, Let me get the full list, but in the meantime, who do you think would be the best person to fill the Bills head coaching job?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I think your best option might be to go with Kubiak out of Seattle.
Oh yeah, I think
Get a
Kubiak.
young mind in there, work well with Josh Allen, hopefully.
Yeah, I think Kubiak another a good option there. Uh, I think both coordinators might be on the market for Seattle. They could get head coaching jobs. The Raiders, you got Fernando Mendoza coming in. What do they need to do at head coach?
Yeah, I mean, I think with Fernando Mendoza, this is a tough call. Do you go with the young guy who may work out, or do you take the higher risk, high reward play? Or do you go with the older guy who's maybe a little bit more proven? It's a bit of a tough one, to be honest with you. I'm not sure. I think they should go for an offensive mind. Maybe Kubiak also wouldn't be a bad move. What's your top pick there?
For me, if because I think the Bills might stay in house and go with Joe Brady if
Yeah, I could see
they want
that.
someone. So I think if he stays with the Bills, I think Kubiak might be the best fit for the Raiders there. And then the Cleveland Browns, who fired Stefanski, they still don't have a head coach yet. Who do you think is going to be with Shador Sanders in that defense?
Yeah, for the Browns, I don't know. I mean, I think they're going to be slim on options. It sounds like they've been more than a difficult team to work with through this process,
A lot
writing
of people have taken
essays,
their
filling questions, and so I think it's really just whoever they can get at this point.
yeah, absolutely. I think this coach might be a one and done in Cleveland if he takes a job. But I think here's one that might be worse. The Arizona Cardinals head coaching vacancy.
Yeah, also a pretty terrible position to be in there.
This is more about where the Cardinals go from here. Do you move on from Kyler Murray?
Yeah, I mean that's really up to the management, and I think the management needs to find a coach who feels the same way about that move.
Yeah, I agree. I think Kyler Murray is more than likely gone from Arizona next year, and it's going to be a long rebuild there in Arizona again.
Yeah, for sure. I do think they have some draft capital though going into this season.
Yeah, I think so. I think because where they picked this year, I think they're picking third,
Yeah, and I think they may even have an extra pick from the trade back a couple years ago.
and we'll see. Arizona, hopefully things are looking better there soon. And then the Magic lose another game to the Cleveland Cavaliers in a blowout at home. I know I went on a rant on Friday about this. I'll let you get your thoughts on the current Magic situation.
Well, I mean, it's just unacceptable. You bring in Desmond Bain, who you trade the house for, and then there's really no excuses this year other than Jamal Mosley. You've got not only Desmond Bain, Anthony Black's really coming into his own. The team has been playing really well with Jalen Suggs on the floor. I mean, you really got six guys who are able to be good quality starters for this team who are maybe even borderline all-stars. And then we get these results where we're barely over 500 for the fourth year in a row. I mean, I saw something that was like the Magic have been 23 and 21 for like 3 or 4 years in a row now. And it's just unacceptable. It's coaching. It's Jamal Mosley. The offense just doesn't have any flow. I mean, obviously we've been a defensive team, but in this year I feel like we aren't even seeing the defense really perform
Mhm.
well, so it's frustrating.
I mean, I have to agree with you. I pointed this out on the show. We now have three straight blowout losses against Memphis, against Charlotte, now against Cleveland. And even against Memphis, we were down by a lot and then had to come back and win that one. New Orleans at home before we went over to Europe, down by a lot, came back, won by 10, blown out by Philadelphia at home. Then here's what's more egregious: going to Washington, getting blown out, coming back a little bit to have a more respectable result, but still blown out to Washington. Washington. It's
Yeah, I mean, these are
the
just
worst team.
unacceptable results, honestly. NBA, it's not too uncommon to see a coach fired mid-season. I think the Magic need to do it.
Brooklyn, down by a lot, end up fighting back to force overtime and won that game by one against Brooklyn. You need to
Yeah,
beat those bad
exactly.
teams. There's no excuse for that.
And that's the thing that's worrying me. We've been playing bad teams and barely winning and often losing. And what's going to happen once we start playing a bit of a tougher schedule here towards the end of the season?
This is supposed to be a down year for the East. I mean, this team should have been like the second or third best team in this conference with Boston, who are second, by the way, doing well without Jason Tatum. And
Yeah, exactly.
we thought Indiana would come along. They're 14th in the East right now. They're horrible without Tyrese Halliburton. And the Pistons looking like they're title contenders this year.
Yeah, it's definitely a weird year, and the Magic should be in the mix, but just haven't been able to get there.
Absolutely. We got to buckle down and get some results. We play the Cavs tonight, and we may stream the game on Sunday against the San Antonio Spurs on the road.
Yeah.
So let's go to our other headlines now. A couple Bears headlines. Declan Doyle will remain with the Bears as their offensive coordinator. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind bringing Doyle back. He's seemingly made hopefully some impact on the offense. It's hard to tell without him calling the plays, but definitely can't complain about that.
The one mostly in the room with that offense. Ben Johnson, he's been the play caller all season. I think Declan Doyle he'll get his chance sometime, but I think learning under Ben Johnson will propel him more in the future. And then Nashon
Yeah.
Wright will go to the Pro Bowl. He's been named a Pro Bowl replacement. I'll have to see. You were the one who pointed this out. Who is he a replacement for?
Somebody on the Seahawks, I forget who.
It might be, I'm gonna guess Witherspoon, but
Yeah.
Nashon Wright definitely well deserving Pro Bowl selection there.
Yeah, for sure. He should have made it the first time, and now he's made his way in here.
Yes, the leader of takeaways in the NFL. Even though he dropped off a little bit toward the end of the season, still solid throughout the rest of the season.
Yeah, and he played pretty well in the playoffs too, which you gotta respect.
The six Americans reached the Australian Open quarterfinals. Great accomplishment for American tennis.
Yeah, it's pretty great.
And then the Packers get a new defensive coordinator, Jonathan Gannon, the former Cardinals head coach, going to Green Bay as their DC, replacing Jeff Hafley, who's going to the Dolphins. Is this a good hire?
Yeah, I think it's a fine hire. I mean, obviously you don't want Gannon to be the head coach, but as a DC, he's been proven to be pretty good.
Absolutely. Arizona, I think, is just a dumpster fire. I think he'll get another chance at head coach sometime.
Yeah, maybe even.
And then Scotty Scheffler winning the American Express on his first event of the 2026 season. That's his 20th PGA Tour win. How or how far can Scheffler go in his career before turning 30?
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely looking like he's going to be one of the greats.
I
So
think.
we'll just see how far he can go. Yeah.
So I'm trying to remember which one was the Grand Slam that he needs to complete the career Grand Slam. I think he has one more. I want to say it's the U.S. Open, but I'll have to double check that. Yeah, the U.S. Open he tied for second back in 2022. Still needs to win that to complete the career Grand Slam. And I think he'll eventually do that.
Yeah, I think he can get it done still for sure.
And then Omar Cooper Jr. becomes the fifth Indiana Hoosier from that championship team to declare for the NFL draft. Where do you think he's going to go?
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. It really comes down to just what teams need him. But I'm surprised they honestly don't have more declared for the draft yet. So we'll see what happens with that.
And it's still early. Obviously, Mendoza's going to go number one in that draft.
Yeah, for sure.
And then a new segment. Don't have a Monday night game to preview. So we'll go with what are you watching for this weekend? I'll start with you, Eli. What are you watching for?
Yeah, for me personally this week, I'm looking towards Texas Tech at UCF. I'll be at the game.
Oh yeah.
UCF needs to get back into the rankings, and I think if they get that win, as well as the win over Arizona State earlier in the week, they'll nudge their way back into the top 25.
I'm for that's a good one. Let me see where the Knights are ranked. I think they have 14 votes in the AP poll. As of recording this video, the AP poll comes out around 2 o'clock. So we'll see where how many points they get. But they did they win? They beat Colorado, I think, right?
Yeah, I beat Colorado this past week.
That's a good start. I mean, for me, I think so. We'll have another one of these on Friday, but I think for me, through the midweek, the game that I'm watching for, number seven Nebraska undefeated, taking their 20-0 start to the season into Ann Arbor to take on the number three Michigan Wolverines. That game tomorrow night at 7. We're actually
Yeah,
gonna
it's definitely one to watch out for.
That's a game that I'm definitely gonna stream that one. We'll see Nebraska 20-0 start. Michigan's only loss coming, I think, I want to say a few weeks ago against. It was within a couple weeks ago. I think they lost to Wisconsin at home. So we'll see if Nebraska can keep their undefeated season alive.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Anyways, that's going to do it for us today. Thank you for watching. Don't forget we'll get the stream schedule out later today. No games tonight, but we'll have mostly basketball on the slate this week with no football. So anyways, thank you guys for watching. Have a great evening, and we'll see you again next time.